écrit un mot pour justement insister sur cet agenda climatique qu'il a mis au cœur des ambitions et en particulier du sommet de septembre prochain. Et très clairement, nous avons ensemble les moyens d'agir. Nous avons su donner l'impulsion au G20 pour l'adoption des règles d'application de l'accord de Paris. Nous devons maintenant passer à la vitesse supérieure et l'accord qui a été signé sur le plan bilatéral la Chine
between China and France,
et qui est rendu public ce matin,
disclosed publicly this morning, I feel is major progress on this subject. I'd very much like to thank President Xi Jinping for the clear indications he's giving on China's intentions pertaining to cutting greenhouse gas emissions and intention to commit to specific actions on things such as financing development as well as implementation of the Kigali Amendment on HFCs, which is an essential point which we wish to address together to maintain our international climate commitments. The European Union will also be present precisely to ensure this leadership. Now the agenda, the climate agenda, as I see it, in addition to subjects such as security and peace, are essential in this strong multilateralism, which we very much believe in and have just been talking about. The second point of convergence is the necessity that this partnership between China and Europe must serve as an example of cooperation in the field of multilateralism. We're talking about building what we've called strategic trust amongst us. At length, we discussed subjects of partnership, friendship, rivalry, which exist, which are very much part of the universe we're working within. Our will is to have an agenda of strategic trust. The European Union, along with China, constitute one of the three main areas of the world economy. Opening the European market in this respect accompanied the spectacular emergence of China, bringing 700 million people lifting them out of poverty. This tremendous progress at the same time has led to major transformations and tension in our societies. You've experienced this, we're familiar with this. There are imbalances which have come to the fore in terms of production, also knock-on effects in society and the economy. This has led to special tension, leading to legitimate calls for protection. Our shared will is to ensure that addressing these tensions doesn't lead to breaking up the international trade order into new trade conflicts, leading to any policies of stepping back or isolation. Together, what we want to build is a multilateral framework which is overhauled, more fair, more just, more balanced. The EU is one of the most open economies in the world. Together, in the next few days, during the EU-China summit, we wish to endeavor, and there's the G20 in Osaka as well, and also in upcoming months, wish to endeavor to put together a shared agenda, a joint agenda to modernize trade multilateralism. In our shared interest, and in the globe's interest, the world's interest, we want to build new types of fair competition, building these new balances. On this point, we need to step up work currently being conducted between China and the European Union on modernizing the WTO to better address, within a framework of cooperation, questions of transparency, excess capacity, state subsidies and dispute settlement. We have the intention, we discussed this at length. The challenge will also be to actually translate into facts, the fact that cooperation is more beneficial than confrontation. We have more to win from openness than from being closed. The partnership between EU and China here as well can and must serve as an example, achieving tangible results at the upcoming summit EU-China, specifically on the overall agreement on investments and geographical indications. Then a fourth focus of convergence during our discussions, as I see it, is this necessity to strengthen our dialogue, to have a shared vision of the future of multilateralism through initiatives established in various places. China currently is playing a role compliant with its rank and power. The Belt and Road Initiative, which you proposed to the World President, is a major gesture, and it can contribute to stability, to the development and peaceful coexistence of peoples. The European Union, the biggest donor worldwide in for ODA, also must fully play its role on the international stage. I believe it's by fitting together these initiatives that we can build something highly innovative and of major impact. We have to manage to define, and I believe we can, a joint agenda on connectivity where we can build infrastructure and equipment and meet our climate commitments with great scruples. In the area of education and health, we can have very strong impacts. We can have a financial sustainability agenda for all third countries partners to these various initiatives. Basically, if we comply with joint framework, which we talked about a great deal this morning, we can, I do believe, not just bring many peoples out of poverty and assist them, but do this in a very inclusive, sustainable way. And that's how I see what I call the new links of balance that we can establish. There are various agendas and roads, but the new balances we can create, and this may be a point of support that'll be a key point necessary to build this new multilateralism and this framework for cooperation. All in all, to reach these objectives, i.e. strong multilateralism, a spirit of cooperation, and a new link of balances, we want to progress in building an overhauled multilateralism. There are divergences. Clearly, exercising power in humanity has always led to rivalry. None of us is naive, but we respect China and we're determined to have dialogue and cooperation. Of course, we expect our partners to respect the unity of the EU and the values that it upholds for itself and for the world. It's a respect of sovereignty, building new balances, and building a renovated, fair framework. In so doing, President and friends, I believe we have the road to build the new links. So those are my points about our convergences and our discussions. Confucius said 3 friendships are advantageous and 3 are injurious. The advantageous ones are an upright friend, sincere, and a man of much observation. An injurious friend is a glib friend, a soft friend. Mr. President of the People's Republic of China, realize that in this room you have upright friends in their demands, sincere friends, sincere to what they are, and friends of China, and to avoid being a friend that speaks at too great length. I'll leave it at this, and I will give you, with great pleasure, the floor, thanking you once again for being here amongst us.
President Macron, Chancellor Merkel, President Juncker of the European Commission, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's great to be here in March in Paris, which is a vibrant season of spring. And it is my great pleasure to pay a visit to France and to attend this closing ceremony of the Seminar on Global Governance, as I am about to conclude my visit. Yesterday, participants engaged in constructive dialogue and discussions on the themes and achieved a lot of good results. First of all, I bring my sincere greetings to all of you, and I commend you for a successful seminar. Yesterday, in my talks with President Macron, we also discussed and exchanged views in an in-depth manner on global governance, and we reached a lot of important common understanding. Both China and France are important participants of global governance, When it comes to the maintenance of world peace, security, and stability, upholding multilateralism and free trade, and supporting the UN in playing a greater role, we share extensive political consensus and strong foundation for cooperation. China and France are both committed to mutual respect, mutual trust, equality, openness, inclusiveness, and win-win results, and we stand by together the basic norms governing international relations, and we work jointly to improve global governance. And we have become important force for maintaining world peace and stability and promoting human progress. Just now we spent over an hour on the discussion of global governance. The four of us, together with President Macron, Chancellor Merkel, and President Juncker, we discussed multilateralism, China-EU strategic partnership, and how this partnership will evolve in the future. And we engaged in in-depth discussions, and that has produced further consensus. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, 2 years ago, when I was speaking at the UN office at Geneva, I asked a series of questions. What is wrong with today's world, and what do we do about it? Well, today's world is going through once-in-a-century transformation. While peace and development remain the dominating trend of the time, there are more uncertainties and destabilizing factors. The world is confronted with a lot of common challenges. There is a French proverb that goes, "Everyone is the craftsman of his own fate." So as the world is confronted with grave challenges, and when human being is at a crossroad with a choice to make, all the countries need to take up the sense of responsibility and take concrete actions rather than standing on the sideline, and work together to take the fate of human being in our own hands. To do that, first of all, we need to pursue fairness and equity in order to address governance deficit. Across the globe, hotspot issues keep emerging and continue unabated. Climate change, cybersecurity, refugee crisis, and other non-traditional security threats keep spreading. Protectionism, unilateralism are on the rise. The global governance system and multilateral system are facing strong headwinds. Therefore, we need to remain committed to joint consultation, joint contribution for shared benefits, which should be the vision for global governance. Global affairs should be decided by all the peoples, and we need to work together to bring greater democracy in the rules of global governance. We need to remain committed to the United Nations, which is the symbol of multilateralism, and give full play to the role of the WTO, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the G20, the European Union, and other global and regional multilateral systems. We need to fully leverage on their constructive roles and work together for a community with a shared future for mankind. Second, we need to continue to pursue consultation and mutual accommodation in order to address deficit in trust. Trust is the best glue for international relations and state-to-state relations. Well, right now, as we are seeing, there is greater competition and friction and more geopolitical rivalry. All this has eroded international trust and cooperation. What we need to do is to give priority to mutual respect and mutual trust, to make the best use of all possible dialogue and consultation, and to work together to seek common ground and understanding while shelving differences and diffusing differences. We need to pursue candid and in-depth communication and dialogue to increase strategic mutual trust and reduce mutual suspicion. We need to pursue greater goods and shared interests, giving priority to the greater goods to build a global partnership that will bind all of us together. We need to promote inter-civilizational dialogue in order to increase mutual understanding and that people across the world will build stronger friendship, respect each other, and trust each other. Well, for today's China-EU relationship, cooperation is the defining feature, even though there are differences or competition to some extent. Such competition is a constructive competition, and cooperation far outweighs competition, and we need to increase positive energy. We are marching forward side by side, and we are sharing will and woe. We cannot let mutual suspicion to get the better of us. And we must not always be guarded against each other and worry that they may do something behind our back. That is very important. That is something that we need to avoid. We need to take precautionary measures. Third, we need to stick together to address peace deficit. Well, in today's world, the security environment is still a source of concern. Local wars and regional conflicts are continuing, and the ongoing rampage of terrorism are devastating the lives of people in many parts of the world, in particular children. We need to pursue a new security vision that features common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security, reject the Cold War mentality and zero-sum game mentality, and the law of the jungle by which the strong prey on the weak. We need to pursue peace and security through cooperation and pursue settlement to disputes with peaceful means. We need to oppose willful use or threat of force and oppose efforts to stir up trouble for self-serving interest. We need to stand against the beggar-thy-neighbor approach. What we should do is to join hands in pursuing a peaceful development path that will lead to enduring peace and stability in the world. Fourth, we need to pursue win-win outcome in order to address development deficit. Economic globalization is the engine of world economic growth. Right now, the trend against globalization is on the horizon. The negative implications of protectionism are clearly being felt. Inequality in distribution of income and disparity in development space have become the most prominent issues to tackle in global governance, global economic governance. We need to pursue innovation-driven development to build dynamic model for growth. We need to promote interconnected development to build cooperation model that will lead to win-win results. We need to remain committed to fairness and inclusion and build model for development that is balanced and win-win so that the world population will share in the benefit of economic globalization. China will continue to push forward reform and opening up. That is for sure. Because China has been pursuing reform and opening up for the past 4 decades, which has transformed this great country. With 40 years, we finished the journey of industrialization that took developed countries 300 years to finish. And we need to keep forging ahead. And when we do that, we will for sure continue with reform and opening up, and at the same time adapt ourselves to the new circumstances and open up further. China supports necessary reform to the World Trade Organization in order to build a more open world economy, maintain the multilateral trading system, and to guide economic globalization toward healthy development. The Belt and Road Initiative has substantiated the vision for international economic cooperation and multilateralism. It provides an important pathway toward global growth and common development. China welcomes active participation of France and other countries in the building of the Belt and Road. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, China and France enjoy this long-standing friendship. This year marks the 55th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. Our two countries have already conducted a lot of strategic cooperation, and there is yet a lot of potential to further tap. As our friend said, if you want to get the best view of Paris, you have to mount the Eiffel Tower. Under the new circumstances, we need to stand high and look far and work together to intensify cooperation. We need to deepen traditional area cooperation, including nuclear energy, aviation and aerospace, agriculture and food, medical care and health, and automobile manufacturing. At the same time, we need to accelerate cooperation in emerging areas, such as the green manufacturing, digital economy, artificial intelligence, financial services, and sustainable development of cities. We also need to work more closely together on climate change and comprehensively implement the Paris Agreement, and to work together to bring about positive outcome from this year's UN Climate Summit in order to deliver greater benefits to our two peoples and people across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, history, civilization, and humanity are always driven by ideas. This seminar on global governance will provide strong intellectual support for our two countries' efforts to participate in and promote global governance. It is my hope that our two sides and other parties will keep this channel of dialogue open, promote cooperation with more exchanges, and seek win-win outcome, and join hands in providing wisdom and strength to build